You wake up one morning and something feels different, though you can't quite name it. Not pain, not illness, just a quiet fading of confidence in a part of your body you once trusted without question. The firmness that once came naturally takes longer. Sensitivity feels muted, and even moments of intimacy leave you wondering if time has quietly stolen something from you. For many men over 60, this becomes a silent burden, carried with embarrassment or simply ignored. But what if the truth is far more hopeful than you imagine? What if, sitting quietly in your home right now, there's a natural oil with the power to restore blood flow, dissolve hidden scar tissue, soothe inflammation, reawaken nerve sensation, and protect your skin, all without a prescription, without injections, without shame? I'm Dr. Maya Kapoor, a urologist who has spent over 3 decades walking beside men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, helping them rediscover the spark they thought was gone forever. And today, I want to share with you one of the most overlooked remedies I've ever seen: castor oil. It may surprise you. It may even sound too simple, but the science is real. The results are undeniable, and the men I've worked with will tell you the same. Sometimes the answer is not in a pharmacy, but in the quiet wisdom of nature itself. Castor oil is no ordinary household item. Thick, golden, and rich with a compound called ricinoleic acid. It has the unique ability to penetrate deeply into tissues, carrying warmth, circulation, and healing where age and time have left their mark. When used with care, it does more than moisturize. It becomes a tool of renewal. And as we move forward together, I'll show you the 5 powerful benefits men over 60 can gain from this humble oil, along with the exact steps to use it safely and effectively. By the end, you'll not only understand why castor oil has been trusted for centuries, but also why it may be the missing piece in your own journey back to vitality. Let's begin with what so many men quietly lose first: circulation. Because without strong blood flow, nothing else, firmness, sensation, even confidence can stand. I still remember a man named David, 67 years old, sitting in my office with downcast eyes. "Doc," he whispered, "it just doesn't work like it used to." He wasn't speaking of desire. His heart still longed for closeness. He was speaking of the slow decline in blood flow, the fading firmness, the quiet frustration that made him feel less alive. Like many men, David's loss wasn't sudden. It crept in gradually, so quietly that he didn't even notice until it began to affect not just the bedroom, but his very sense of manhood. And biology explains why. After 60, arteries stiffen, vessels narrow, nitric oxide levels decline. The very pathways that once carried oxygen-rich blood to the penis become sluggish. Here is where castor oil offers hope. When massaged gently into the skin, especially with a little warmth, its compounds dilate capillaries and stimulate local circulation. Within minutes, many men feel a gentle warmth. That's microcirculation waking up. Over weeks, that circulation translates into more spontaneous erections, stronger responses, and the return of a quiet confidence. David began using castor oil 3 nights a week. A month later, he returned with a small, proud smile. "It feels like my body is remembering," he said softly. "That's not magic. It's simply your body responding to consistent care. But blood flow is only the first piece. Because deep inside, many men carry something hidden that silently steals comfort and even reshapes their manhood without them knowing: scar tissue. Years of micro-trauma, small injuries, or untreated inflammation can leave behind hardened collagen, creating internal plaque that bends, shortens, or tightens the penis. One of my patients, George, a 71-year-old retired military man, came to me embarrassed and frustrated. "It curves now," he admitted. "It feels tight. I don't know what's happening." What George was experiencing is far more common than most realize. Silent scar tissue doesn't always show itself until intimacy becomes uncomfortable, and by then, confidence has already begun to erode. Castor oil, with its unique ability to soften fibrotic tissue, becomes a natural ally here. Regular massage with warmth allows its compounds to penetrate deeply, gently breaking down hardened collagen and restoring flexibility. For George, I recommended applying it 3 to 4 nights a week. 6 weeks later, he looked lighter, relieved. It's straighter, more comfortable. I feel like I'm getting control back. That moment, that sense of reclaiming something thought permanently lost, is one of the most powerful experiences a man can have in his later years. And yet, scar tissue is only part of the story, because another thief often lurks quietly in the background: inflammation. Low-grade, chronic inflammation is one of the most overlooked enemies of male vitality. It doesn't always scream in pain. Sometimes it whispers in burning sensations, in a subtle tightness, in that shrinking feeling you can't quite explain. Michael, 66, described it to me this way: "Doc, it just feels like everything's pulling back, like my body is closing in on itself." What he was describing is the quiet chokehold of inflammation, slowly hardening tissues, blocking blood flow, and numbing sensation. This is where castor oil shines again. Its natural anti-inflammatory properties soothe swollen tissue, calm oxidative stress, and allow healing to begin. Michael began applying it nightly with gentle heat. Within 3 weeks, his words changed. "I feel like my body is opening again." That is the power of reducing inflammation. It unlocks the body's natural rhythm, allowing blood to flow, tissues to soften, and healing to finally take root. But healing is not just about function. For many older men, the deepest loss is not firmness or even comfort. It is sensation, that electric spark of connection that makes intimacy more than mechanics. And when nerves go quiet, life itself feels muted. I remember a man named Harold, 70 years old, who sat across from me with tears brimming in his eyes. "I can still perform," he confessed, "but I don't feel it anymore. It's like my body is going through the motions, but my heart isn't there." His words struck me deeply because I knew he wasn't alone. So many men past 60 tell me the same story. Not that their bodies have stopped entirely, but that the spark of sensation, the deep sense of intimacy, has dulled into silence. This happens because the tiny nerve endings responsible for pleasure and responsiveness become sluggish with age. Reduced circulation, inflammation, medications, even hormonal shifts can blunt their fire. Slowly, what was once vivid becomes muted. Here again, castor oil offers an unexpected path. It doesn't just warm tissues or soften scars, it nurtures nerves. Studies have shown that ricinoleic acid, the active compound in castor oil, can support nerve regeneration and repair. When applied gently and consistently, it creates the environment nerves need to wake up again. Circulation improves, inflammation quiets, and the body remembers how to feel. Harold followed my guidance, applying castor oil nightly with soft warmth. A month later, he leaned close and whispered, "I can feel again. Not everything, not all at once, but something is returning." That whisper carried more than relief. It carried dignity. Because sensation is not just about the body. It is about identity, connection, and joy. And yet, even as blood vessels open, scar tissue softens, and nerves begin to awaken, There is another truth many men overlook: the skin itself. The skin down there is the barrier that protects, the shield that holds nerves and blood vessels safe. But with age, testosterone drops, collagen thins, and moisture fades. Skin becomes fragile, prone to dryness, irritation, even tiny cracks that make intimacy painful. Frank, a 73-year-old gentleman, described it plainly. The skin feels thinner, drier. Sometimes it even tears. His words carried shame, but they should not have. This is a natural, common change that most men experience, yet few discuss. Castor oil steps in as a quiet protector here as well. Unlike lotions that evaporate or sit on the surface, this thick golden oil penetrates deeply, locking in hydration and reinforcing the skin's natural barrier. Night after night, it strengthens the tissue, keeps it supple, and shields the fragile network of vessels and nerves beneath. Frank began applying it a few nights each week. Nothing complicated, just a gentle ritual before bed. Weeks later, his voice was brighter. "It feels stronger now," he said. "I'm not worried about tearing anymore. When the skin heals, everything beneath it, blood flow, sensation, confidence, functions better." But knowing the benefits is only half the story. Many men hear about castor oil, get curious, try it once or twice, and give up when nothing changes overnight. That's because healing doesn't happen through chance. It happens through method, consistency, and care. I once had a patient named Alan, 69, skeptical as could be. "You want me to put oil where?" he asked with a raised brow. But he trusted me enough to try. A few weeks later, he returned with a grin he couldn't hide. "Doc, not only is it working, I actually look forward to it." Because when done correctly, this simple practice becomes more than a remedy. It becomes a ritual of self-care, a moment of presence with your own body. So, how do you use castor oil the right way? First, always choose pure cold-pressed oil. No additives, no fragrances. Warm it slightly, either in your palms or by placing the bottle in warm water. Gently massage it into the shaft, the base, and the surrounding area for 3 to 5 minutes. Move slowly with presence, not pressure. This is not about force. It's about giving your body the chance to absorb and respond. Afterward, if possible, apply gentle heat with a warm towel or compress for 15 to 20 minutes. The warmth carries the oil deeper, wakes up blood vessels, and amplifies the effect. Do this 3 to 4 nights a week and give it time. Healing starts quietly, long before it shows big changes. Alan once told me, after staying with this ritual for months, "It's not just the changes in my body. I feel more in tune with myself, like I'm finally listening again." That's the real transformation. Because when you create a rhythm of care, your body responds, not just physically, but emotionally too. And that brings me to something I cannot ignore. Behind all the biology, behind all the tissues and vessels and nerves, there lies an even deeper truth. This is not just about restoring function. It is about restoring connection to yourself, to your partner, to life itself. After more than 30 years in urology, one truth has become clear to me. What most men long for isn't just performance, it's connection. It's the quiet assurance that they are still whole, still capable of intimacy, still able to bring warmth into the moments that matter most. When that begins to fade, even subtly, it doesn't just affect the body, it ripples into every part of life. Confidence softens, relationships feel strained, and men begin to withdraw, not because they want to, but because they fear they no longer can. That is why I speak so passionately about tools like castor oil, not because it is magic, but because it is real, natural, and deeply overlooked. It gives men a way to take back ownership of their bodies without shame, without dependency on pills that only mask symptoms. Over the years, I've seen men like Walter, a 72-year-old who had nearly given up. He told me, "Doc, I thought this was just old age, that I'd lost the right to feel like myself again." Yet after weeks of steady, mindful application, he came back with a sparkle in his eye. "It's different now," he said, "not only in my body, but in how I carry myself." That shift is profound, because when a man begins to feel alive in his most private self, it doesn't stay private. It radiates into how he walks, how he speaks, how he meets the eyes of the person he loves. But I want to be clear, castor oil is not a shortcut. It's not an instant miracle. It is a gentle, consistent ally that works with your biology over time. Blood vessels soften and open. Scar tissue slowly dissolves. Inflammation calms. Nerves relearn their spark. Skin strengthens its shield. Each of these layers builds on the other until one day you realize something has shifted. You feel more present in your body, more confident in your skin, more connected to your life. And that moment, quiet as it may be, can feel nothing short of life-changing. For some men, the biggest hurdle is not biology but belief. They've been told for decades that aging means decline, that intimacy belongs only to the young, that self-care in this way is unnecessary or even shameful. I want to break that lie once and for all. Aging does not erase your right to feel pleasure. It does not strip away your need for connection. It does not close the door on vitality. What it asks of you is care, patience, and respect for the body you still live in. Castor oil is simply one way of offering that respect, a ritual that says, "I still matter, my body still matters." Now, some of you may be wondering, what happens if you skip steps, or if you use the oil inconsistently? The truth is, you'll likely miss the full benefit. I've seen men try it once or twice, shrug, and walk away, only to return months later when things have worsened. Healing is not about quick fixes, it's about rhythm. Just as muscles strengthen when exercised regularly, tissues respond when nurtured consistently. Think of this not as treatment, but as a conversation with your body, one you return to again and again until trust is rebuilt. And beyond the physical benefits, there is an emotional ripple effect that cannot be ignored. Men who reclaim circulation, sensation, and comfort often rediscover not just their bodies, but their marriages, their confidence in social settings, even their willingness to engage in life with energy again. I've seen men pick up old hobbies, travel more, laugh more, because they no longer feel quietly diminished inside. This is why I say the real victory of castor oil is not just biological, it is personal. It restores dignity, self-respect, and the belief that even after 60, 70, or beyond, you are still very much alive. But before we close, there is something I must emphasize. None of this works in isolation. Castor oil is powerful, but your lifestyle, the way you eat, move, and rest, either amplifies or weakens its effect. If you pair this practice with healthy habits, nutrient-rich foods, regular movement, mindful stress management, you will not only see changes faster, but sustain them longer. Because the truth is, your body is always listening. It responds to the care you give it, and the more consistently you show up, the more fully it will respond. So let us bring all of this together. You've learned how castor oil can restore circulation, soften scar tissue, calm inflammation, reawaken nerves, and protect skin. You've learned the method of using it: pure, cold-pressed oil, warmed gently, massaged slowly with presence, supported by a warm compress, and applied consistently 3 or 4 nights each week. You've heard the voices of men like David, George, Michael, Harold, Frank, Alan, and Walter. Men who once felt discouraged, disconnected, even hopeless, and who found through this simple ritual a path back to confidence and vitality. What unites their stories is not miracle or chance. It is patience, consistency, and the willingness to care for a part of themselves they once believed was gone. But beyond the biology and the method lies the heart of the matter. This isn't just about erections, sensitivity, or skin. It's about reclaiming the quiet truth that you are still whole, still capable of connection, still deserving of joy. Too often, men carry the false belief that decline after 60 is inevitable, that their role is to fade, that intimacy no longer belongs to them. I want to look you in the eye and tell you that is not true. Your body still listens, your nerves still respond, your system still wants to heal. You have not outlived your right to feel alive. I have witnessed transformations that extend far beyond the bedroom. Men who once slouched now walk taller. Men who once avoided their partner's touch now reach out with warmth. Men who once lived with quiet shame now live with quiet pride. Why? Because when you restore confidence in the most private corner of your life, everything else opens. You laugh more freely. You engage more openly. You carry yourself as someone who knows he is still capable of giving and receiving love. And that is the real gift. Not just healing tissue, but healing identity. So if you are listening to this and thinking, maybe it's too late for me, let me say this clearly. It is not too late. I have worked with men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s who believed their best years were behind them, only to discover that with the right care, their bodies still had fire, still had strength, still had joy to give. All it required was beginning. You don't need perfection or instant results. Just begin. Tonight, you can take the first step. Warm a little oil. Offer your body patience. Begin the ritual. And let healing build quietly, week by week, until one day you realize you feel more like yourself again. And as you begin, remember this: you are not broken, you are not alone, and you are not finished. Castor oil is not magic, but it is powerful. It works with your body, not against it. It honors your biology and helps it remember what it was designed to do. And in that process, you'll rediscover function, dignity, sensation, connection, and presence. Thank you for walking this journey with me today. If what you've heard speaks to you, let me know by sharing your thoughts. Type A1 in the comments if you feel hopeful, a 0 if you are skeptical. Subscribe so you don't miss the natural solutions we bring for men over 60. And most importantly, share this with someone you care about, because no man should have to face this part of aging in silence. My name is Dr. Maya Kapoor, and it has been my honor to remind you of this simple truth. Your story is not over. Your strength, your connection, your vitality, they are still here, waiting to be claimed. And the first step begins tonight.